Well, thank you everyone for coming. I wasn't expecting this many tables. So thank you. Who didn't put their name up there and still made it? Thanks guys. I know my friends are also here because I kind of like forced them to come. And also thank you, Jeff and Jim, for being here. Well, okay. You all must be thinking, why are we doing this in a Scrum conference? What's the, like, why this? This doesn't sound like anything related to Scrum product or anything. Well, this is all about humans, right? And neurodiversity is something that we are hearing a lot nowadays. So this workshop is all about making people aware. I'm not a professional, please note that, but I did get in touch with one of my psychologist friend to get the content verified, that if it is okay to share, and whatever we talk about today is going to be in the team context, because at the end, all the work that we do in organization, we need people to work. So it is always about people. So that's what I believe, and this is what that workshop is about. Well, okay, it works this way. So the first two slides are by my friend, Dr. Joseph Perline. So he has, taken the time to put it out there for me that what neurodivergence means and what is neurodiversity. So neurodivergence, well, it's just, like some brains think in a different way. They analyze the patterns and react to information in a very specific way, which is different to the typical or average brain. So that's what neurodivergence refers to. Neurodiversity is just to, like, it's a term to normalize that, like diversity and inclusion. I always go back to that. And also I refer it back to the Scrum values. It might not make sense, so give me some time so that I can connect the dots. When it comes to the Scrum values, there is something called openness and respect in it, isn't it? So when we think about diversity and inclusion, it's always about that, and also courage, because sometimes it takes a lot of courage to accept people who are different than us, who have different thinking patterns than us. So for me, it is really gets back to the core of those values, that when it is neurodiversity, that means that we all are very unique, very different. And there are certain neurodivergent conditions which is known to this world. So they are not, they are not very different than us. They just analyze and process information in a different way than what we do. So this is another slide which was added by my friend, which also tells you the 3 different categories of neurodivergent behaviors. I was also surprised. I did a lot of study to build this workshop because I was very cautious, because it's a very sensitive topic. And I'll give you a little bit of, personal story as well. So someone from my family also has like neurodivergent condition, who has ADHD. One of my really good friend whose kid has ASD, autism syndrome disorder. So that got me more aware about it, that what happens when you have people around you who have these conditions. How is it different? How can we make things more inclusive for them? So that's from the personal part of life. But this also happens when you are in a team environment. When we talk about creating high-performing team, that also means that having a forum where everyone is free to express themselves, everyone can work to their best ability. So how can we create a space for them? So that's this workshop is about, that what can we do? I mean, I'm not considering myself as a neurotypical because I don't know. I don't know, like, if someone is translating the jokes to Japanese. But I really want my English friends to at least laugh at my jokes. That's the one request that I have here. Thanks, guys. So some of the common myths that we keep seeing and learning about neurodivergent conditions is that, like sometimes people say that they are not productive. So I have seen this happening. I'll tell you again a small story. I was part of an organization, of course, I'm not going to tell you the name. The hiring manager rejected a candidate because the candidate mentioned in the interview that they have a neurodivergent condition. So I was part of the interview panel, of course, didn't have power to say that this is wrong. The hiring manager came back and said, oh, we cannot hire them because it's a high pressure environment. They won't be able to cope up. So these are some of the common myths that we keep seeing, where people think that if someone has a neurodivergent condition, they are not fit for the corporate world. They are not fit for a high performing team, which is sad, but also at the same time, very untrue. So is there any of the myth that anyone thinks that it's not a myth, it's a truth, or something that anyone would like to add? Guys, this is a workshop. You do have to talk, you know that, right? Just saying. David? You agree with, okay. Well, but that's true for any team, like whether you have any member with neurodivergent conditions or not. I mean, the cultural background, the difference in cultural background can also sometimes slow down a decision because cultures think differently, isn't it? I mean, that's my opinion. Any other opinion anyone has that would like to input? Yes, because
I,
okay, I will be better next time. So I can okay, let's Jeff
No
talk
worries.
and then
Well, I forget some of what your the exact phrasing of the question, but I've got a old friend of mine, actually used to be my boss many years ago, who has an autistic son and has dumped a lot of money into an organization that is putting autistic people to work in technology. And it was a surprise to me that there are so many people somewhere on the autism spectrum that are actually really good programmers, engineers. They are faster at things, but I would have had the belief before that they couldn't be productive team members. But anyway, but he's seeing differently. Anyway, that's my only preconception, I'll admit to.
thank you so much, Jeff. And let me just summarize what Bas and I spoke about before. So, or Bas, do you wanna go it? So Bas had an opinion that yes, like one of the points in there that it can slow down the decision-making process because when people think differently, it's always hard to align. So on that, my idea or input was that we all think differently as like anyway, because of the cultural differences, the background. Because of that, our mental models are different. We are all hardwired to think and analyze and process information differently. That makes us unique human beings. I hope that, because if we are just copy paste, that wouldn't be nice. So if that's the case, then how does that slow down anything? I hope that was the summary. Okay, so enough of talk. Let's do some activity. So there are activities. So how we are going to do this is we are going to do this in tables. So I'm not very sure how this will work in Zoom. I have no idea how this will work in Zoom, in the Zoom setup. Okay, yeah, they can share thoughts, yes. So in here, whoever is present in this room, so your table will become your immediate group to discuss this. So what we are going to do is that the self-organized part is already done. So we have to ideate strategies based on the scenarios that I will show you now. And then when you're done with the activity, can you please nominate one person from the table who is going to share back like one or two strategies that you have already thought about or chatted about? Is that okay? Give me a thumbs up if that is clear for everyone. Yeah, even for non-English speaking people, is that clear? Okay, okay, cool, thank you. So slight technical things. So what we are going to do here, so these are the characteristic of neurodivergent conditions. There are 6 of it. Now the trick is that you do have to click photo. So per table, maybe one person can click photo because you have to discuss as table. So what you will have to do is that refer back to the characteristics. So the first one is ASD, that's autism syndrome, spectrum disorder. The second one is ADHD. The third one is dyslexia. So are you clicking? Let me know if I'm going too fast, guys. Can you share the Can I share? Yeah, it is already shared in Zoom. Yeah. Oh, I'm not in the Discord, sorry. Yes, please, whoever is taking photo, additional steps added to the instruction, please share with your Discord friends.
Okay, he tries.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, that's might be later. Yes, I can do that later. Okay, so the last 2 are dyscalculia and highly sensitive person. I hope everyone has taken photos. Huh? Oh, cool. Great job. Okay. Now the scenarios. You have 3 scenarios to choose from. So first one is a typical sprint planning meeting. Well, the conditions are already mentioned there. So now imagine this is the best part, right? Like, because in real life, you wouldn't know who has what. So now you know, like, for example, the sprint planning, you have someone who has, like, who is on the ADHD spectrum and someone is on the ASD spectrum. So how would you make your sprint planning more inclusive? So that's the whole activity about. So you can choose from either of the 3 scenarios. The second one is about collaborative problem solving, and also the conditions are mentioned there. So one with dyslexia and the other person has OCD. Now the third scenario is daily stand-up. So here one person has dyscalculia again, and the other person has highly sensitive person. So that is HSP. So what could you do if you're, which condition, like which planning you're choosing, which scenario? So based on that, you can strategize that how can you make that session more inclusive? So is the instruction clear for everyone? One, yes, only one, because we won't have time otherwise. So choose any one, and there are post-its if you want post-its. We have 10 minutes. Thank you. Thank you so much. 5 more minutes. Okay, it's time. Are we ready? Yeah. Do we do this here? We don't have to. It's like so little people. Yes. We are ready. Oh, you can share. Cool.
So we chose to look at the sprint planning meeting. And some of the things that we talked about is providing the tickets beforehand for reading async, so people can read and understand the details before they come into the meeting. We also talked about building trust as a team so that people that do have different learning needs can tell you, because if they tell you what they need, it's much easier than trying to work that out. So also things like social contracts and working agreements can really help to give people a shared understanding of how people like to work. We also talked about allowing people to contribute their ideas via like the chat in Zoom, because we have a remote team, so that people don't have to try and work out when do I unmute and get involved in the conversation. And also using thumbs up, thumbs down, fist of five to understand how confident people are around what we're planning to do in the sprint. And another one that I just added, but we didn't talk about, is we make sure that the meetings don't go over an hour in my team. So if we're getting close to an hour, we'll have a break and then come back so that people have a bit of a chance to recharge.
That's awesome. Thanks. Okay, who? Oh, yeah. Please clap. Who wants to go next? That was part of the assignment, folks. You do have to go next. Who wants to go? Well, I just said who's ready. You were ready. Yeah, over there. Awesome.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, probably.
Yep.
So we decided to tackle the second scenario about the collaborative problem solving session. And we discussed a lot about what the meeting would look like. So we talked about using text to speech tools, visuals, large fonts, also avoiding long text documents. Additionally, we said that it would be good to have a facilitator with some guided discussions, a clear agenda, meeting and purpose, and a format already decided, and to have an open discussion for new opportunities or new thoughts to appear. And that's all.
Oh, thank you. That's amazing. Okay, who is going next?
ちなみに、日本語でも、日本語で出てます。
はい、日本語で喋ります。そうですね。自分たちは3番目のスタンドアップミーティングを選びました。で、はい。で、まず計算力障害っていう方なんですけど、やっぱりこう計算に時間がかかりすぎるっていうのがあるっていうことですよね、これは。なんで、ちょっと進捗の把握とか見積もりが苦手なのかなと思っていて、事前にペアワークとかモブワークでちょっと準備しておくみたいな工夫が考えられるかなと思いました。はい。あともう一つの HSP の方なんですけど、こちらなんか深く考えすぎてしまうみたいな特性がある方とか、ちょっとダウンタイムが少し必要みたいな方だと思うんですけど、で、最初はちょっとなんかプレッシャーを与えないために、ちょっと時間を延ばすとか、逆に時間制限を、タイムボックスを取っ払うみたいなことを考えてました。はい。 ただちょっとタイムボックスとかを簡単になくすっていうのはやっぱりスクラムとかのアンチパターンだし、なんか特別扱いしすぎるのも良くないのかなってちょっとチームで話しました。はい、なので、こちらも計算力障害の方と同じなんですけども、できるだけタイムボックスに間に合うように、事前にペアで準備するとか、日頃からペアでやって関係性を構築しておくみたいなことをできるのかなって思いました。はい、以上です。ありがとうございます。
Thank you. That was good. You wanted to go next.
日本語で失礼します。我々も、シナリオ3を、選びました。で、状況としては、計算能力障害の方や HSP の方がいらっしゃるチームで、自分が、スタンドアップして、発言をしているという状況で、お話をさせてください。はい、まず、計算能力障害の方がいらっしゃるので、例えばバーンダウンチャートとか、図を見るときに、少し理解力が乏しいのかもしれないという配慮が必要だと思っていて、そこに対して、テキストでのサポートをするというのが良いのかなと思います。で、さらにそこに、最近ですと AI を使ってテキストで、自動で、言葉を出してあげることで、理解力の支援ができるのかなと思います。はい。で、HSP の方は、非常に周囲のことに敏感なので、スタンドアップで話しているときに、あまり大声で話さないだったり、あまり、大きな動作をしたりとかして驚かせないような、配慮が、話すときに、話し手の、姿勢として必要かなというふうに思いました。こちらについてはあまり議論ができなかったので、ほぼ私の意見になりますが、はい、以上です。
Thank you.
Okay. Try to speak in English. Okay. So we are choosing the scenario 1, and like the we are for the ADHD person and ASD person. So there's a lot of opinion there. For example, like the strict schedule. That's for at first, like so there is a sprint planning session. So the first, like the making the working agreement and like the norm cars something the norm cars rules to the ground rule, making the ground rule to not the blaming or something. Then they're talking about the strict time schedule and like 15-minute activities to the losing the focusing time. And we don't. Okay, and the other is the time box are the same, and like for the autistic person, making the transparency for information to understanding easily more, and then the asking the intention for autistic person to understanding their words. Sometimes their words is some typically understanding, so sometimes it becomes aggressive, but to clarify their intention to
not the envision the other one's words or something. So asking, or yeah. Do you have any additional information?
No, that seems about right.
Yeah. Okay, that's all.
Thank you. There's like every table have discussed, things based on the scenario where you knew. And also, I mean, we always try to rely on the verbal cues that, other people will say something that will get us to the conclusion that we need to do things differently. But I would also like you to focus on the non-verbal cues as well. So to give you some example, this really happened. So when I did this workshop for the first time in Adelaide last year, and there was this person who actually had a condition, and they were participating. So they said something which is really like, it's stick with me. They're like, Soma, not everyone is going to feel safe to come and tell you that, they have a condition, they are on the spectrum, which is true because yes, not everyone would tell you. So what can we do then? And she shared with me something that she does in her team. What she has a like working agreement point in there. Someday we don't feel that, like we want to speak a lot, we all go through that. It is not typical to just like, neurodivergent conditions. Someday we just want to be in our own shell, and that is okay because that is nothing to do with our work or productivity. So they have a simple rule, which is like, if you are in that phase or mode for the day, switch off your camera for the whole day. And that is an unspoken rule. Like everyone has that alignment already in the team, that if your camera is not switched on for your stand-up meeting, that means we all know to give you some space. And that is a brilliant idea, I felt, because sometimes the non-verbal cues are the most powerful ones. So I would also request all of you to look for those. Now, because we have 10 minutes left, which also means that I don't know if we have enough time for the other exercise, but I'm still going to give you a little bit of preview about what the other exercise is all about so that you know. And maybe if you feel like it, you can also, okay, talk about in your table. So major restructuring, to give you something like, this is funny because where I come from, it's a normal scenario for us. It's like major restructuring because we want to change, or let's do it for the sake of it. Now, no one even understands or like, the impact of it on human minds. I mean, I'm not talking about neurotypical or neurodivergent. That's a different thing. It's for everyone, because change just for the sake of change is hard for everyone. So if, for example, if you have someone on your team who is going through this, so here in this scenario, two teams are merging. So it will be a lot of change for people, who have neurodivergent conditions. So how would you do, like, let's say you are a leader and you know about this change coming. So what would be your approach to make them feel more comfortable with the change? So that was the other activity about. So maybe something for you to think about and take it out of this session, that what can you do? Because as I understand, restructuring is not only restricted to down under, it's everywhere. So these things can happen anywhere in the world, but there's always a different way of doing things. So you can take a photo of this to do it later as part of like homework for neurodiversity session. But to close this session, like, it doesn't matter if you are neurotypical or neurodivergent. What matters is that to have more EQ. Why I say that is that whenever you are in a team environment, you really need to have the social awareness of how people around you are responding to things, because not everyone will have or feel that, they have to tell you what they are going through. But whatever they are going through, if you are a part of a team, it is your responsibility as well to make them feel more comfortable and safe so that they can be the best version at work. So our session was very much restricted to just work environment, but there is no way that I'm going to say that you cannot apply this in your personal life, because we all might have a friend or a relative or a partner, you know, who is going through something which sometimes is not known to us. So all it needs is to just be a little bit more considerate and empathetic, and also have a little bit of social awareness to make things more safer and comfortable for them. So this session is actually about that, openness and respect, and how can we include more, you know, like be more diverse and inclusive of the things that happens around us. So I hope you got something out of this session. So that's it. We are finishing on time. Yeah, all good? Okay, everyone looks happy there, the organizing team. So I have done this on time. But if there is anything that you would like to say, this is the time. Wait, either you got the session or no one got anything. That's why the silence. Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone.